It's 4 p.m. We're bringing developing news.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Patrick Paez.
I'm Ed Lingao. Some stories are watching this Thursday, October 17. The PNP CIDG has filed sedition and inciting to sedition cases against Kibuloy's legal team and other KOJC members. Among the respondents, his legal counsel attorney Israelito Torreon and former SMNI host and NTF-LCAC spokesperson Lorraine Badoy. The filing was led by General Nicolas Torre III, who served previously as chief of the PNP Davao. President Bongbong Marcos met with former VP Leni Robredo during the inauguration of the Sorsogon Sports Arena today. Senate President Chis Escudero says he invited Robredo to welcome President Marcos on behalf of Bicol. The ex-VP's former spokesperson Barry Gutierrez says Marcos and Robredo will not have any private meeting.
And hunger in the Philippines rose to 22.9% in September 2024. This is up from 17.6% in June of this year, marking the highest rate since September 2020. The 2024 average so far stands at 18.2%, significantly higher than the 2023 average of 10.7%. A lot of math there, no?
And joining us today, Storycon's resident political pundit in all his freshness, Tito Ronald Llamas.
Magaling ka na.
Magandang hapon.
And from the Philippine Star, Editor-in-Chief, Ami Pamintuan, live from Parañaque. Yan.
Good
Hello, Ami.
afternoon,
Naingit tuloy si Ami. Oh.
Mas fresh sa akin si Ami. Mas fresh yan.
Oh, ano headline ng Star?
Si Patrick o Ami, oh.
Hi,
Oo
Ami.
nga. Nadagdagan ko lang yung sinabi niyo kay Kibuloy, ni-reject ng Pasig Court yung request for hospital arrest, ha? Yung petition, yung kay Apollo Kibuloy.
Oh, okay.
Tapos yung isa pang malaki, sabi ng mga senador, ano ba naman daw? Well, in so many words, ha? Wala yatang kay yung sila Senator Bato na mag-conduct ng sariling investigation. Parallel probe, kaya magiging baka magkaroon ng committee of the whole ang Senate.
But
Although,
I
ewan
imagine,
ko kung magkakaroon pa ng oras yun, ano? Magkakampanya na eh.
but, Ami, no, I imagine that ang magiging usap-usapan itong pagkikita ni PBBM at
Yes.
saka ni VP Lenin
Although
sa Bicol.
walang ano eh.
So-
Mukhang, ewan ko kung merong pang ibang pinag-usapan, ha? Baka may balita ka, Ronald.
Bakit may kasabay na statement na hindi naman daw sila mag-uusap?
Oo.
Parang pala statement ba yun? Nasa dulo yun. No?
Parang may pahabol. Eh, no?
But you know, this is so pregnant with a lot of meaning then, ano? They don't really have to
Yeah.
say much. I mean, the mere photo.
A picture paints 1,000 words.
Yes, so ganun nga eh, di ba? Especially
Yes.
kung babalikan natin yung mga, well, yung naging palitan ng dalawa, or at least there were some very harsh words coming from the Vice President, the former Vice President.
Pero mas harsher yung words ni Isko at saka ni Manny Pacquiao.
Yun.
Kumpara kay Lenny. Nung kampanya, nung nakarang kampanya, di ba? Pero
at
at least si
ngayon,
Pacquiao
ano?
kasama na ngayon sa slate.
Ito naman si BBM, parang I understand na during the campaign, he stuck to a no-negativity campaign, the last campaign. So ayaw niya
At saka yung
magsalita ng
isang spokesperson ni Lenny, nasa DILG na, di ba?
Right. Oh,
Yes.
hindi lang yun. I see
Pero
a lot of new appointments that belong to the
si
other
BBM
political side. Yes.
ng mga Duterte. Remember?
So,
Nauna na si Sara Duterte doon ng Peña Francia, remember?
Right.
At nag-meeting sila for 1 hour.
pero hindi,
Remember?
Sa bahay ni Lenny pa, ha?
hindi kaya to bagong unit team. Ronald, tanungin natin mamaya sa'yo kung may namumuong bagong unit team. Practically, parang, di ba?
I doubt
if
it.
If you see the alignment of forces right now. But anyway,
I
at
doubt
this
it.
point, let's bring in mobile journalist Julie Baisa, live from Malacanang. Julie, so ano explanation o paliwanag ng palasyo tungkol dito sa pagkikitang ito, Julie?
Yes, PP. Actually, ang sabi nga ng PCO, si SP Escudero talaga yung nag-imbita kay former VP Robredo na dumalo nga doon sa festivities at sumalubong sa Pangulo bilang isang Bicolana. Kasi ang mangyayari daw sana, kung may mga nagtatanong bakit hindi sila nagsama sa iisang stage, supposedly daw, magtatabi-tabi sila sa stage at manonood pa ng programa si former VP Lenny. Pero meron daw kasing event na kailangan daluhan si Robredo sa Naga. So she decided to wait for the president na lang bago umalis. At saka doon na nga lang sinalubong sa may holding area. Kasi ang sabi ni SP, ayaw daw naman ni VP Lenny nung, kumbaga, eksena, no? So, kaya ang nangyari, sinalubong lang niya and then umalis na si VP Lenny right after dumating din si BBM at nasa lubong doon sa event. Ang tinanong natin si Attorney Barry Gutierrez kung ano nga yung reason kung nang pagpunta ni VP Lenny. Ang sabi niya, binabalik lang din naman daw ni VP yung suporta doon kay Escudero kasi sinusuportahan nga niya yung Naga. Aside from Robredo, inote din natin kasamang sumalubong kay PBBM si dating Senador Bam Aquino. Briefly lang daw na nagbatian, sabi ni SP, wala daw naging pag-uusap. Pero for him, ang interpretation ni Escudero dyan, parang naghihilom na daw yung mga hindi pagkakaunawaan. Kasi ano man daw yung nangyari, politika lang naman before and hindi naman daw personalan.
Pero Julie, that's from Chis Escudero. Pero ayon sa kampo ni Lenny, naghihilom nga ba?
Tinanong ko si Attorney Barry actually kung may meeting ba after. Ang sabi niya, nasa isang event lang daw sila sa Sorsogon. Yun lang yung activity. So parang walang private meeting before or after the event.
So just to be clear, so sumalubong lang si Lenny kay BBM, nagkamayan at nagbatian at wala nang usapan. Ganun ba? Is that correct?
Walang naging pag-uusap.
Nothing at
Wala
all.
din daw meeting na nakaschedule.
Pero ang alam ko
Julie,
dyan, Ronald,
punta doon kasi nakikita ko ngayon kasama sila Camille Villar, si Tito Soto, mga nasa lineup yan ng administration for the Senate eh. Parang informal start na ba to ng kampanya?
Actually, si Camille Villar, hindi nga lang po isang beses na kasama siya sa mga event. Kasi even before nagpunta sa mga event sa Tarlac, ini-introduce na rin talaga siya ni BBM. Ang laging ang pakilala sa kanya, matagal lang kakilala ng pamilya nila, bata pa lang kilala na niya si Villar. So, yung pong kanina, nung sumalubong sila kay VP Lenny, marami daw na mga officials doon na inimbita ni SP Escudero. So, nandun nga si Lito Lapid, Tito Soto, Camille Villar.
Yes. Oh.
Okay. Oh.
Naputol ata.
Alam mo, I'm
Mga
watching
nasa
the video,
slate-
no?
nasa slate nila yan eh.
Ami, Ronald, we're watching the video over and over again. May konting tapik si, Bam Aquino kay, kay Presidente, no? That's an Aquino and a Marcos, ha? And it's a bad language of warmth. At saka, I mean, alam mo naman, Ronald, kung ikaw si Senator Chis Escudero, kung alam mong awkward yung magiging pagkikita, hindi mo pagtatagpuin.
Yes.
Di ba? Alam mo, ganyan yan, di ba? Ami, kung alam mong meron pa dyan na
Alam niya
namamagitan,
magkakaibigan.
iiwas mo yung dalawa. Pero in this case, hindi sila iniwas.
Pero value added din kay Senate President Chis Escudero na kaya niyang gawin yon.
Well, yes. But if it was bound to cause some offense on one side or the other, he wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So he had to know for a fact that it's all okay.
Yeah.
It will be all okay.
Lalo na, yung personality naman ni President Bongbong ay gano'n naman talaga. Very friendly. Di ba?
Yes.
Although
Yes.
Ronald, correct me if I'm wrong kasi yung younger generations, ang pagkakaintindi ko sa Aquino and Marcos clans, pareho sila, both sides nagsasabi, hindi sila nag-aaway eh. Tama ba yon? Yung pagkakaintindi namin kahit nung panahon nila Noynoy, yun ang pagkakaintindi namin. Noynoy and Bongbong, I understand we're on friendly terms. Tama ba yung perception
Noynoy
namin?
and BBM.
I'm not sure about Noynoy. Pero
Ayun.
si Mar Rojas, nung panahon ni Pinoy, ay friendly kay BBM. No? At kahit kami noon na nasa cabinet, ay halimbawa, nung kinausap namin si BBM, ako at si Barry Gutierrez, tungkol doon sa postponement ng ARMM election na ayaw ilabas ni Chis Escudero, ni Mig Zubiri sa kanyang committee, ang pumayag maglabas ay si BBM. At kinausap din namin siya tungkol doon sa aming housing bill na naipit sa committee niya, nilabas naman niya kagad. So medyo madali siyang kausap kumpara doon sa iba no, na yung lines between opposition and administration must drawn out, no?
And of course, there
In
was that...
fact, nung namatay si Cory, nung burol, I remember, I don't know if you remember that, Ed and Patrick,
Yung magkapatid.
pumunta si Amy Marcos
Oo,
sa wake. Kasi that was a very big photo noon na nakatingin si Amy dun sa casket.
Yung lamay ni Pinoy. Dumalo yung, I think, magkapatid o yung presidente. And if we will remember, Ami, no, si Julie siguro hindi na natatandaan ito. Long time ago, bata pa si BBM at bata pa si Chris Aquino. Di ba? Meron silang TV interview na ginawa together at Chris Aquino's show.
Yes.
So may ganon. But you were mentioning, Ronald, on the part of Noy Noy, may konting natitira pang ano.
Yes. Yes, dahil
Sa kanya, on his side, on his part.
dahil lumaki siya na nakakulong yung
Siya kasi
kanyang
yung panganay.
tatay sa Fort Magsaysay, no? Kaya hindi pa niya nakakalimutan 'yon. At si Pinoy kasi, unlike her sisters, medyo nagtatanim yan No?
Farmer.
Kaya kanina alaska ko siya madalas Tawag ko sa kanya farmer.
Farmer.
Nagtatanim, no? Hindi niya nakakalimutan yung mga alita namin.
Pero Ronald, the members of the opposition who are critical or very critical of the Marcos administration, of Ferdinand Sr. and Jr., how do you think they would react to this? Do you think this would be acceptable to them?
Well, naubos na kasi yung halimbawa Liberal Party No, naubos
But
na
that's
yan
the party.
Karamihan,
I'm talking about whatever party you belong to, those who are critical of ano.
Like who? Dahil karamihan sa Liberal Party nasa administration No, ang natira na lang ay mga anim.
Iko.
Bago natin pagpatuloy yan, Ed, pakawalan muna natin si Julie Baisa.
Yes.
Julie Baisa, maraming
Thank you,
salamat sa
Julie,
oras mo.
Yeah. At
Thank you po.
Yeah. At karamihan sa kanila nasa administration, katulad ni Boy Umali, katulad ni Kimbo, no? Umalis naman si Kimbo sa Liberal
naman siya.
Party nitong past few months lang 2-3 months ago. So karamihan sa Liberal Party ay either lumipat na sa administration, political parties, o yung natira na Liberal Party ay kasama sa majority sa House. Kaya yung ganung klaseng antagonistic relationship medyo...
But Ronald, the most obvious elephant in the room is the fact that now we're seeing this administration medyo confronting the past administration. It's the Marcos and Duterte dividing
Mas
line.
marami silang
That's probably
differences.
causing the toll.
Mas marami silang differences ngayon kesa dun sa traditional opposition. Halimbawa, yung traditional opposition...
So that's helping the traditional opposition warm up or warm up a bit at least, sabihin natin, with this administration.
It's a cup half full, half empty. Halimbawa, foreign policy, no, anti-drug campaign, no, criminality, no, etc. Medyo magkalapit yung posisyon. Pero halimbawa, nung pinropose ni Senator Sally Trillanes na mag-guest candidate yung opposition sa administration slate, tinanggihan ni Lenny, ni Laila, at saka ni Risa. Ibig sabihin, para sa kanila, meron pa mga issues na unresolved or medyo magkahiwalay pa rin. Lalo na yung history ng Marcoses. So,
okay, you talk about the history of the Marcoses, but is this something that's parang, maybe holding back the opposition if they're imprisoned by that history?
Well,
the failure to move on. Because we're seeing this administration, at least, Marcos too, parang naka-move on siya.
Yes, pero para sa kanila at saka sa kanilang base, o at least substantial part ng kanilang natitirang base, ay issue pa rin yun.
Hindi ba kailangan mag-move on na rin itong base na to? Because yung kinakatakutan na pag nanalo si Marcos, it would be a pro-China policy, magkakaroon ng dictatorship and all that. We're not seeing any of that. The worst fears of the traditional opposition has not come to pass.
Yun yung balancing act nila dahil yung usapin nga ng foreign policy, usapin ng anti-EJK, no? Medyo magkalapit sila with the administration, lalo na itong mga investigations sa Quad tsaka sa Senate, no? Pero at the same time, may mga usapin ng corruption, usapin ng na hindi pa resolved para sa kanila, no? At hanggang ngayon ay itong issue na ito ay alive pa rin para sa kanila.
Okay, you're watching Storycon on One News. You just need to take a break. We'll be right back.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group. We've got the developing news and the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to the Story Conference. I'm Patrick Paez.
I'm Ed Lingao, and still with us, aming pamintuan of the Philippine Star, and Tito Ronald Llamas, our resident political pundit. And our our guest today is former Senate President Frank Drilon. Sir, magandang hapon, and thank you for joining us again.
Hi, Senator.
Good afternoon. Ed, who's that? Ed?
Yes, sir. It's me.
Yes. Yeah, hi.
Yung dating
Hi,
player.
Ed. Hi, Ronald.
Hi, Senate President.
Patrick and Ami, good afternoon.
Senate, maraming mga tanong dito. Dapat
And,
kayo sasagot
Patrick,
Dahil tinatanong nila ako Dapat kayo ang tanongin
Hindi, tatanungin ko, Senator, yung ties between Noynoy and the children of the Marcoses. Kasi yun nga ang perception namin na wala namang away yung mga anak. Tama ba yun? Is that accurate?
Again, Ami, I did not get your question. Pakiulit.
Tinatanong ko kasi nagsasegue lang kami from that meeting between Leni Robredo and Bongbong Marcos Sabi ko, ang perception namin for the longest time, wala namang away yung children of yung Aquino, yung itong generation nila Bongbong and the generation nila Bolsi, nila Noynoy. Tama ba yung perception namin?
Tama ko yan. Wala naman sa pagkaalam ko. Wala namang yung relasyon is very good. In fact,
Yeah.
I can say it for a fact. Wala namang samaan ng loob yan. They can have differences in their politics, but on a personal plane, wala akong alam na may pinag-awayan sila.
Pero sir, sige, sundutin ko na rin yun. Nandun na tayo We also wanted to talk about yung proposed investigation ni Bato Pero sige, ito muna, nandun na tayo yung pagsalubong ni Leni Robredo at ni Bam Aquino kay BBM sa Sorsogon. We're wondering lang how you think members and supporters of the opposition would look at that. Would they look at that? Would that be okay, or would there be something there na medyo uncomfortable yung mga, the base of the opposition?
Ed, wala na ako sa politika Hindi ko na sasagutin yan.
Ang galing naman, sir.
Investigation na.
I don't want to engage in those discussion. Dahil, obviously, politika yan and ayaw ko nang nag-retire na ako from politics.
Okay.
So, let be answered by those by the candidates and by the politicians.
Yan ang tinatanong nila sa akin kanina, SP Drilon kung yung Liberal Party at yung mga allies nito ay meron pa ring differences with President Bongbong Marcos. So, sinubukan kong sagutin, pero mas kayo yung makakasagot niya kumpara sa akin.
Yun ang nagpasahan kayo.
Kaya tinanong ko.
Ganito na lang, SP Drilon. Seeing these pictures, these images of Bam Aquino, medyo humagod pa kay Presidente, no? Seeing these images, as an observer, long retired from politics, okay, what do you make of this meeting?
Paano?
As an observer, pag nakikita nyo, medyo nagkamayan si PBBM at saka si VP Leni, and there's also Bam Aquino in the picture. Just looking at this encounter, as an observer, ano masasabi nyo?
Wala. Yun naman picture lang. Alam ko masarap pag-usapan yan, nakakadagdag na nanonood sa ating programa, ngunit yan po ay talagang isang picture lamang. I do not know, I have not been active anymore, so wala pa ako mga inside story.
Okay. Sir, sige, segue na kami dun sa main topic dapat namin ngayong for you. Sir, si Senator Bato de la Rosa wants to initiate his own investigation into the Duterte drug war. Ang sabi niya, kaya niyang gawin to motu proprio na walang nakahain na resolusyon at hindi dumadaan sa Rules Committee. There are those who say na hindi pwede. Ang Blue Ribbon lang daw pwedeng gumawa nun. Nag-SP po kayo before and you've been in the Senate for the longest time. Anong alam niyo dito? Is this possible? Can he do this? Can he just call an investigation without going through the usual process?
Yes, and I will respond to that question on the basis of the rules when I was there, when I was the Senate President, when I was the majority leader. Under our rules when I was there, the committees cannot act on their own except the Blue Ribbon when Congress is not in session. Meaning, if Congress goes to recess, hindi po pwede mag-hearing ang mga committee on a new matter which has not been referred to them, except the Blue Ribbon. Ngayon, anong ibig sabihin nun? Kung kagaya nito, mayroong, with all due respect to my friend Bato, hindi po pwede, under the rules that I know, na mag-imbestiga ng hiwalay na wala pong resolution ang plenaryo. In other words, in effect, walang pahintulot ang plenaryo by referring a resolution to the Committee on Public Order and Illegal Drugs. And this is for a reason. It is rational because in the Senate, the jurisdiction of the committees overlap. Kasi maraming committees, kukunti lang ang senador. Kaya nag-overlap yung jurisdiction ng committee. Ngayon, and that is the purpose of the plenary. There must be a resolution filed in the Senate plenary, and the Senate plenary after the first reading will refer it to the appropriate committee. Otherwise, mag-aagawan ng mga committee kung sino mag-hear. And that is precisely what is being prevented. And that what will happen if my good friend Senator Bato will simply call a committee hearing on his own. My submission, with all due respect, is that he cannot do that because there is no referral from the plenary, from the Senate itself. And today, the Senate is in recess. And the committee cannot act on its own. In fact, the committee report must be approved by the plenary. There is no, the Senate is not bound by any report of the committee if it has not approved the committee report. In the same manner, hindi po pwede na magkanya-kanya ang mga committee chairman sa Senado at tatawag ng hearing on their own. They have to, the committee must act only on the basis of the directive of the Senate plenary. Hindi po yung committee.
Sir?
That is why, hindi po, with all due respect, and I do not know the rules now, the Senator Bato, in all his good faith, cannot assert jurisdiction because walang resolution ng refer sa kanya as chairman of the Committee on Public Order and Illegal Drugs. Because suppose, and the Committee on Justice will also conduct its own hearing. The committee, every other committee who can claim jurisdiction over illegal drugs, including Committee on Public Officers, lahat na yan. So you can imagine kung ilang komite ang magdidinig on this matter. So it will cause confusion. That is why the committees are not allowed when Congress is in recess to hear on their own any matter except the Blue Ribbon.
Yes, sir.
So, and that is the rule during my time. I do not know the rules now.
Sir, follow up ko lang, sir. Quickly lang. Kasi I was rooting around the Senate website. May nakita akong Senate Resolution number 5, 2010, August. I think you were Senator then. Rules of procedures governing inquiries in aid of legislation. I'd like to ask you if this is applicable kasi baka mamaya hindi pala applicable eh. Section 2, initiation of inquiry. Inquiries may be initiated by the Senate or any of its committees if the matter is within its competence or upon petition filed or upon information given by any senator or by any person not a member thereof. I'm wondering lang if that's applicable in this case, and if it is so applicable, then wouldn't this allow Bato to initiate an inquiry?
I'm sorry, I have not reviewed the rules. I'm just, you requested me to sit in this interview in 15 minutes. I had no opportunity to review the rules. I am talking of my experience when I was Senate President and as President of the Senate.
Senator
I followed the
Drillo.
rule that except for the Blue Ribbon, when Congress is not in session, a committee cannot on its own call a committee to a meeting and to a session and act on a matter. Otherwise, mag-aaway-aaway yan. You can have several committees hearing the same issue and will have conflicts.
Yes, sir. That makes sense,
the
man.
rule of
Yes, sir.
order.
Senator, I just wonder whether some ethical rules apply here when a senator is asking for an investigation or a hearing that actually
He's accused of.
he may be involved in to begin
And
with.
he admits to being the brainchild of the program.
Ganon, yun. Di ba? Under normal circumstances, something like a rule on inhibition would have to apply from our unlearned understanding of things.
The role on inhibition is addressed to the senator. They must decide for himself. He must decide for himself, or she must decide for herself whether or not there is a conflict, and he should not handle or attend the hearing. That is addressed to the discretion of the senator.
Okay,
There is no-
doesn't the Senate President have a say on this matter, for example? Can he require the senator, for example, okay, we'll investigate, but you can't sit in there?
You cannot prevent, the Senate President has no power
Okay.
on that point. The senator can sit as if he wants to, but he will then be responsible politically and will have to answer on that shortcoming in the next election. But the Senate President cannot say, you cannot sit there.
Okay.
So it's all
We
entirely
all the
voluntary.
senators have an equal mandate with the Senate President.
Pero may,
Senator.
SP, meron bang ganyang precedent na yung senator na involved dun sa issue ay siya mismo yung nagpatawag ng hearing? May ganun bang nangyari na ini-invoke lamang ay delikadesa?
Nasa Senado, walang ganong nangyari. And maybe, I will make through your program this appeal. Huwag naman, masisira kayo dyan. Masisira ang Senado in the perception of the people. If Senator Bato, who is my good friend, will conduct an investigation of the drug extrajudicial killings when he was mentioned as part of that setup, of that difficult. So, pangit po para sa Senado at masama po ang perception ng tao sa Senado kung itutuloy po ni Senator Bato ang kanyang balak na ipatawag ang dating Pangulong Duterte at imbestigahin tungkol sa extrajudicial killings during the drug war because nabanggit po ang pangalan nilang dalawa doon sa House Committee hearing. So, for Senator Bato to lead the investigation, pangit po tingnan sa publiko at ang talo po dyan, the Senate is as an institution. We lose its credibility. And
Senator, ang alternative na pinapropose, mag-committee of the whole. Pero yung feasibility nun? At this point, after the recess, magko-committee of the whole daw. Yun ang pinapropose nila, imbis na si Senator Bato will be handling the investigation. Yun ba feasible yun at this point, magkakampanya na, saka gaano kahirap ba mag-investigate ang committee of the whole? I mean, they all have to be there, di ba?
Those are theoretical questions. I mean, the committee of the whole can only be convened after the Senate comes back from its recess.
Yes.
You cannot act as a committee of the whole during the recess because a committee of the whole to be constituted would require a vote of the senators in session. Kung in lang session, how do you form a committee of the whole? Pwede po yan. A committee of the whole is a good compromise in this, but it can only be done after the Senate resumes its session. Hindi po pwedeng may committee of the whole during the recess. Dapat hintayin na magkaroon ng regular session.
Kasi ang binibigay na rason nila Senator Bato and Senator Bongo, kung nandun daw silang dalawa, mas malaki daw ang tsansa na haharap si President Duterte. Yun ang sinasabi nila. Ayaw daw ni President Duterte, of course, to face the House.
Yes. But the credibility of the Senate as an institution is at stake. Hindi po, wala na pong ibang kapalit dyan. And I call on the leadership. Ako po, 24 na taon ng Senado, kaya I have a certain interest in maintaining the credibility of the Senate. At kung si Senator Bato at si Senator Bongo ang magtatanong, mag-lead ng investigation, kay dating Presidente Duterte, hindi po ba niniwala ang taong bayan na ito po'y in aid of legislation? Hindi po ba niniwala ang taong bayan? Dahilan po, kung kanilang mga pangalan, nabanggit po dun sa hearing in the House. So, sa akin po, for the sake of the Senate as an institution of democracy, huwag na dapat ituloy ito. But of course, sila ang mga senador, that is addressed to their will, to their discretion. Wala pong makakapigil sa kanila. Ako po I'm expressing an opinion as a former Senate President, as one who has stayed in the Senate for 24 years and cares about the credibility of our democratic institution. Mawawala po yung credibility na yan if kung ituloy po itong plano ito.
Parang hindi naman primary yung concern nila dun sa Senate as an institution SP Drilon, no? Unfortunately.
Okay, but Senator Drilon mentioned a while ago that they can do that, no? It's within their discretion, pero baka singilin sa eleksyon. Sumayo na yung eleksyon, di ba? So what do you think? Will it cause a backlash?
Well, firstly, as I said, they cannot do that. The rules would not allow them to do that. The Senate President should exercise his leadership and tell the concerned senators that's not consistent with the rules. As I said, I'm talking about the rules
Yung panahon
during
niyo.
my time.
Yes, sir.
I do not know the rules now. But assuming that from the same set of rules, the Senate President can exercise his
Leadership.
judgment and say, we will not allow that because the credibility of the Senate as an institution is at stake.
Pero sir, in the end, it will all be voluntary on the part of Bato if he will inhibit or not. That's what I understood from you. In the end, the Senate President can try to persuade him not to sit there as chairman, but in the end,
Mukhang may rules
Well, the Senate
May
President
rules sila na pwede.
can-
as far as yung initiating the investigation, pero yung sitting as the chairman and doing the conducting the investigation as its chairman, whether to inhibit or not.
After the break, no? During the break, hindi niya kayang gawin yon. Yun ang sinasabi ni SP Drilon. No?
Okay.
Okay.
He can only use his persuasive powers, but he can also having control over the personnel in the Senate and the premises. Okay, this committee hearing cannot be conducted in the premises of the Senate. Bahala kayo kung saan nyo dadalhin yan. No member of the staff can assist the committee. Bahala kayo sa sarili nyo. But, because as I said, Senator Bato and Senator Bongo have their own mandates and they can conduct these hearings if they want. Mananagot lang sila sa taong bayan, but I am appealing to them, the prestige or the credibility, not prestige, the credibility of the institution is at stake. The Senate as an institution of democracy, by if they conduct these hearings, notwithstanding the public testimony in the House of their involvement.
Okay, thank you for joining the Storycon today, former Senate President Franklin Drilon.
Thank you, sir.
Salamat, SP.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Let's begin our next guest for today. He's already here. Now we speak to Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa. Sir, magandang hapon. And thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Magandang hapon at good afternoon sa inyong lahat.
Yes, sir. Sir, yung mga
Hi,
tito,
Senator.
yung mga tito kompleto dito at pati yung tita.
Okay. But unang tanong na kagad, we just had an interview, Senator, with the former Senate President Franklin Drilon, at ang sabi po niya, hindi daw pwede mag-imbestiga while Senate is in recess.
Recess.
Sino may sabi?
Senator Franklin
Sino
Drilon.
sabi?
Senator Franklin Drilon, at ito daw ay base sa rules ng Senado.
Iba ba ang roles ng Senado? Iba ang roles ng House of Representatives? We belong, we
Good point.
Ay, sir. Sir, are you still there?
Hindi, para daw yata initiate kasi hindi niyo pa daw
Hello?
Hi, sir.
nauumpisahan.
Oh.
Para umpisahan ninyo yung investigation niyo kasi yung sa House ongoing na eh.
So what's the difference?
The difference, I understand, Senator Bato, is that yung sa House investigation, dumaan ng plenary at nagpatuloy lang during recess.
Approve
Pero
na.
ito daw, walang Senate in session na mag-approve in plenary ng investigasyon. I think that's what he meant. Yun po.
Well, ang bala ko kasi is motu proprio. Yung ginawa ko ng investigasyon patungkol sa PDEA leaks about drugs. I will continue that investigation.
Okay.
Ay, sir, so yung PDEA leaks investigation po ninyo hindi dumaan sa Rules Committee? Tama ko ba? Hindi ni-refer sa committee ninyo ng rules?
Hindi.
So kayo mismo ang nagsimula. Kasi yung po sinasabi ni Senator Dillon kanina, ni former SP Dillon, ang sabi niya, kailangan sundan ng proseso, at least nung panahon niya, kailangan daw sundan ng proseso na may resolution muna, na isasampa, tapos dadaan sa Rules Committee. Ang Rules Committee i-refer doon sa committee na kanyang i-assign para hindi raw magkagulo-gulo doon sa mga komite na mag-overlap. Yun po yung tanda niya sa mga patakaran.
Well, titingnan natin. Kung kinakailangan talaga ng resolution, then we have to wait for the reopening of session ng Senado. Pero kung yung isang option ko naman na pwedeng i-avail is that continue ko yung aking PDEA leaks investigation, which is still
Active.
live, no? Ito pa yun terminate. Kuha pa yun. The last thing that we had was suspension only.
Okay, ang isa pang punto ni Senator Franklin Drilon ay to quote him po, pangit na ang magpapatawag ng investigasyon, kayo po na posibleng kasama kayo doon o involved kayo doon sa bagay na iimbestigahan. Nakakasira daw sa kredibilidad ng Senado.
Yes, sinasabi ko na nga yan. Kaya nga sabi ko, I was hesitant at first to conduct my investigation in my committee dahil nga lalabas na self-serving. Baka sabihin ng taong bayan, ginagamit ni Bato yung kanyang committee para ituloy yung kanyang sarili. Kaya hesitant ako talaga at first. Pero kung wala na talaga ibang paraan para ma-maintain natin yung checks and balances between two houses, then I think pwede ko ipagpatuloy yung aking pediatric investigation.
Sir, bakit po
Senator,
check and
open
balances
po ba kayo
between
na mag-committee of the whole? After the recess, sandali lang naman yung recess nyo eh. Pwede ba kayong, open ba kayo, yun yung suggestion ng iba ninyong mga kasama sa Senado, mag-committee of the whole na lang daw?
Wala problema. Wala akong problema dyan. Okay ako doon. If talagang questionin nila yung aking motu proprio investigation na suspended investigation doon sa PDEA leaks, then pag-usapan namin.
Senator,
Nabanggit niyo na
nakausap
po
niyo
ba kay former President Duterte yan, nabalak ninyo at pumayag na ba siya? Kasi kahapon sabi niyo, most likely, he will agree si former President Duterte to appear basta kayo ni Senator Bongo yata nandun. Na-sound out niyo na ba siya, si President Duterte? At
Nag-usap
payag
po
na
kayo?
siya?
Hindi pa nagaling sa kanya officially yung that's only an assumption on my part na kapag ang Senado ang mag-imbestiga, whether or not andyan ako or wala si Senator Bongo, basta Senado ang mag-imbestiga, mas komportable siya mag-attend.
Senator Bato, balikan na sinabi niyo po kanina na parang may checks and balances between the two houses. Nagtataka lamang po ako, bakit may checks and balances between the Senate and Congress?
Parehas legislature.
Hindi ho ba usually it's a check and balance between, for example, executive
judicial, and
Congress and
legislative.
the branches?
Bakit hindi ba applicable sa both houses yung checks and balances? Kaya nga, hiwala yung dalawang houses para merong existing checks and balances.
But what po do you want to check and to balance in this particular case, Senator Bato? Ano ho yung gusto niyong kumbaga balansin o i-check?
Simple lang, no? Nakikita natin na parang sa takbo ng investigasyon ngayon ay para bang lumalabas ng pinapaniwalaan ngayon, yung mga dating drug lord protectors, sila na ngayon ang hero. Tapos, bilhin na ngayon yung mga pulis na nagsumikap na makahinto ang drug problem sa ating bansa. So, siguro, lalabas man lang yung totoo on both sides, then, tingnan natin na we have to take that parang investigation.
Pero sir, to Tito Ronald's point last week, yung mga tumestigo last week are si Garma, dating police na very very close kay Pangulong Duterte, at si Espinido na dati ring pinuri nung panahon ni dating Pangulong Duterte sa drug war.
Kaya nga, nagtataka ka huwag yung Espinido, bakit nagsisinungaling ka na katakot-takot, ang daming kasinungalingan na sinabi niya, baka something is behind.
Okay, Senator Bato de la Rosa, ito po no si Garma at saka si Espinido, hindi ito mga low-level people na I mean, hindi to masasabing medyo malapit sa presidente. How do you feel ho na mga taong malalapit sa presidente parang bumabaliktad ho ngayon? Hindi...
Well, that we have to find out in our own parallel investigation na gagawin sa Senado. Malalaman natin yan.
I guess ang tanong ko po, Senator Bato de la Rosa, do you feel also some pressure na at some point na building up, dahil eto nga si Garma, no, bumaliktad, do you also feel some pressure na may pressure sa inyo na magsalita na rin?
Well, the pressure on me is nasa konsensya ko na nakikita ko na sumusobra na yung kasinungalingan na sinasabi diyan sa lower house. Kaya, kailangan natin naman, somehow, tingnan natin sa Senado kung magiging consistent ba yung sinasabi nila. Kasi meron tayong ibang perspective, merong ibang point of view na i-inject dyan. So, malaman natin kung just leave us the investigation at you will know. Magmumonitor naman kayo eh.
Ganito na lang, Senator Bato.
Senator
Bato, ganito na lang. Yung loyalty, tawagin na po nating loyalty po nyo kay dating Pangulong Duterte, no? I mean, hanggang dulo ba to? Kasi nakita po natin, itong malalapit rin dati kay President Duterte, parang nagbago ng tono. Kayo po?
Nasa tao yan? Nasa tao lang yan kung yung maging opportunistic ka or bibigay ka sa pressure, baka magbago yung paningin mo. Pero I'm sure I know where I stand.
Okay, and where's this, Senator Bato? I mean, will you be with the president, with the former president, all the way?
Senator, nawala ba siya?
Baka nag-iisip.
Nawala yata siya.
Tahimik ka kanina ngayon.
Senator, can you hear us? Senator? Senator Bato?
Ba siya nawala na signal?
May spokesperson ako.
Senator Bato?
Linggaw.
Tagapagsalta.
Nandun po siya?
Anyway, are you there?
But ang huli niyang sinabi dun sa tanong natin is, basta siya daw, he knows where he stands.
Kala ko pinag-iisipan niya yung tanong, sagot sa tanong mo.
May sagot naman siya. May sagot naman siya. Because yun lang, kasi the affidavit of General Colonel Garma is medyo it's quite a shocker na hindi
Gusto ko
natin
sana
what prompted her to...
Yung tanong ni Ami, yung Committee of the Whole. Paano, ang sabi kasi ni Senator Bato at saka ni Senator Bongo, dadalo lamang si President Duterte kung nandun sila. Pero sa Committee on the Whole, nandun sila eh. So, ibig sabihin, pwede lang dumalo ron si
Kaya,
President
basta
Duterte.
Senado daw, pupunta siya.
Oo. Yung Committee on the Whole. Pero yung Committee on the Whole, medyo hindi na nila kontrolado yan. Dahil buo na yan.
Lahat na yan sila eh.
Oo, lahat na yan sila eh.
Tsaka ang
Kasi yung
chairman nun,
namin sa,
yung
sa
committee
Davao
medyo
reporter
kontrolado
namin.
mo eh. Yung of the whole, medyo labo-labo na yan.
the presiding officer is the ano na.
Oo. Ang tanong dyan ay dadalo ba si ex-President Duterte? Dahil kung ang consideration lang, nandun silang dalawa, para dumalo, Committee of the Whole, nandun sila.
And to
Siguro.
Senator Bato's point na na pininiwalaan ngayon yung mga drug lords at ang mga protectors, pero last week hindi naman drug lords and protectors yung sumalang.
Spokesperson ko. yung sinabi ko last week.
Kaya ka tahimik kasi
Meron
sinusunog mo naman si Eddie.
Sabi na, according to our political pundit.
One more question. Ayan. Sige.
Bok, yung tanong mo.
Hindi na, nasugot na naman. Huwag na natin pilit. Baka kasi sumagot ito eh.
Nandiyan pa ba siya? Wala na siya eh.
Ay,
Nandiyan pa ba siya? Wala na.
Okay, ikaw na ba?
Ayan na, Senator.
Sir,
Pakiulit. Ulit mo, Patrick.
Hindi na, ikaw na ba? Alam mo na.
Well, to Patrick's question, sir. To Patrick's question, kasi you do want...
Magtuturo eh.
Hindi, Senator,
sige,
hanggang saan daw ang loyalty mo kay President Duterte? Will you go all the way with him?
Ayun, salita na si Ami.
My loyalty sa tao na yan will go forever and ever.
Yan, okay.
I will sink and swim with President Duterte.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, sir,
I guess that's the best way to end this.
Pero sir, but I also have to ask, di ba, if you're the one presiding over that investigation and from the very start, yun po yung position ninyo, wouldn't that put you in a conflict of interest? Hindi ho ba mahihirapan kayo mag-imbestiga doon sa witness kung mulat sa pool, meron kayong ganun deklarasyon?
Uy, ang sabi ko nga, loyal, tinatanong niyo ako ng loyalty. Bakit? Gusto niyo maging plastic ako? Gusto niyo maging plastic ako?
Pakulit kasi.
Na magpako niyo, kunwari ako sa inyo na hindi ako loyal.
Okay.
Loyal ako sa tao na yan.
Sige.
Pero pag mag-imbestiga ako, meron naman din akong function bilang chairman ng Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs na dapat kampanan. So I know where I stand. Sabi ko nga, I know where I stand.
Okay. Maraming salamat, Senator Bato de la Rosa.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much for your time.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Senator.
Pasensya na kayo. Putol-putol ang signal.
Yes, sir.
Nandito
Pero
ako sa
we appreciate,
Surigao.
sir, you're coming back.
Yes. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat, sir.
Salamat po.
Very clear. I wish we...
Sinanong niyo tungkol sa political loyalty nung sinagot. Conflict of interest.
Pero maganda. Maganda yung sinabi niya, Ami, no? Yung sagot niya. I don't have the exact quotes right now.
Solid na solid naman yung sagot
Solid,
niya.
solid.
Di ba? I will
Loyal sa
sink or
until
swim
the
with
very
the
end.
president.
I'm paraphrasing.
Pero solid din po yung tanong ko eh. Ikaw yung presiding officer.
Tatanungin niyo tungkol sa political loyalty. Tapos
Hindi ba may
sasabihin niyo,
conflict of interest?
Okay. Thank you for
Tama
joining
nga
this
naman siya.
Kaya ako, I just appreciate the fact that he's still willing to talk and he's willing to be interviewed.
Ako, okay na ako na may spokesperson.
Okay, thank you for joining the Storycon today. Ami Pamintuan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star, and Ronald Llamas, our resident political pundit.
Join us again tomorrow. Ay, bukas pala. Bukas yung mga tito nandito. Dahil merong may pre-book launching si
Pero Bok, pag may breaking pag may
Pag may breaking,
ganyang
siyempre.
Alam ko Saturday.
Hindi, pre-launching. Alam mo naman, mga tito, bawat pagkakataon, kailangan magkita-kita.
Kailangan magbenta ng libro ni Manny.
Pag tumatanda yan talaga.
Bukas hindi ako political pundit, political heckler.
Di ba pareho lang yun? Okay, just get to more at 4 p.m. for the Storycon. I'm Edwin Gao.
I'm Patrick Pais, and we are One News, all sides, all the time. This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.